How have you been?
Yeah, really well. A podcast released yesterday, so I'm stoked, and
I
I've got the
saw
book
that.
release going out today.
I saw
Yeah,
that. Is
yeah.
this your first book?
No, I've got three books.
Nice.
So the next book release will be June,
All right. I think we're live now in
June,
the group.
June, July. Yeah, we are. It says it on my end.
Awesome. Hello, Trailblazer. Sorry about the little bit of a delay. You know, that's kind of what happens when you're trying to talk to someone in Australia. total different day there. So it's bound to happen. So today we have Pjero. Is that how you say your name? Pjero?
Pjero, silent
Pjero.
J.
The J is silent, so I apologize for that. Pjero
It's cool.
Mardesic, and he is a sales wizard. He is at the forefront of partnering senior executives, people of influence from any addiction, holding them back to living and leading an exceptional life. He spent the last 2 decades in varied leadership roles with a multitude of industry sectors, namely telecommunications, finance, human resources, recruitment, personal training, automobile, construction, real estate. That's a lot of industries. A key area of specialty is Pjero championed involved the psychology of sales within these sectors. Why? Because he knew if he was able to contribute to the psychological shifts required mindset-wise, this would create an environment of cultural awareness and exceptional results. I read that terribly, and I'm so sorry.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I
can't hear
think
you.
bios. You can't hear me
You might be muted
at all.
Why can I not hear you?
What about now? I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I hear you now. All right.
Yeah,
So
cool.
without further ado, Pjero is going to deliver some really good sales training for the Trailblazers here in the group. And if you need leads, we can definitely deliver the leads for you. And Pjero is going to teach you how to close those leads.
Yeah. Doug, wow, thank you very much. And thank you very much to your commitment to your audience for joining us. On my end, it's 4 a.m. On your end, it's 2 p.m. So I love the way the world works. I wish there was one kind of time zone for us together so that we could do things a little differently. But this is beautiful because this is what makes the world so wonderful. So thank you very much for you guys. I'm gonna share with you some sales tips, or I'm gonna show you my formula, my Pjero Mardesic methodology that I've been using for over 22 years, and some of the sectors that Doug had to read out there. One of the things that I learned, I guess you could say, is my main intent for today is to, 1, smash you with lots of value. Number 2, give you high energy and infect you with that, because obviously you can tell if someone's going to be this wired at 4 a.m., there's obviously something wrong with them in the right way. And the third one is that if you truly see something in this, obviously you can reach out to myself as a coach, you can reach out to Doug to get in touch with me, or realistically invest in yourself so that you can become better at what you want to achieve. And it all starts with this. It all starts with your psyche. So you're probably thinking, why this guy? Why Pjero Mardesic? How did Doug stumble across this guy? Firstly, I don't know. Doug reached out to me and he added me to the Trailblazer group, and I saw value in it and I could see where he was coming from. And I really enjoy and I get value out of people that are willing to do something for themselves. And that's what I saw in Doug. So I thought, this is great. And then we met, we had a conversation. He was pretty wowed by some of the stuff that I do. And sales psychology is one area that I humbly say that I have championed. Now, the reason is because I want to show you my methodology that I created. But firstly, I was even recognized, I guess you could say, in your country. Like, there was an American group that reached out to me and said, Pjero, you're doing amazing things in the world. So this is me in the top 40 under 40 magazine, which is coming to Australia. Now, apparently it's a big magazine that's over in America. And it was amazing to be recognized of that value. So that's me on page 23. And the reason I wanted to share that with you is because you're probably thinking, like, who are you? One thing that I learned from a very, very young age, even at 14 and 9 months when I started working for McDonald's, I wanted to understand the value of working and why we had to work to get money. And I think it was Jim Rohn that said, if you really want to succeed in one area and become an expert, you do 10,000 hours in something, and you're considered an expert in that field. So at a very young age, when I heard this, I thought to myself, okay, this is pretty interesting. When I started working in the telecommunication industry. And back then for myself, it was called telecom. And I don't know, that would maybe be, was there a telecom in America, or was it like Verizon or Verizon, or, there's lots of different company names, right? But for us, it was Telstra, but back then it was telecom. And I started at telecom and I did 3.5 years. And in that 3.5 years, I was working all day, every day. And I became this young boy that wanted to understand mobile phones, because mobile phones were just coming back out in 1999, right? So we're talking back on when there were bag phones, analog phones, CDMA phones, and they were just starting to get into the digital era when it was like in the 2000s. So in 1999, when I finished my schooling education, I got into the Telstra shop, and which was called a telecom at the time. And the benefit I saw after doing 3 years at McDonald's was I started to understand business. And I thought, this is great. Okay, this is awesome. I'm going to really enjoy this. I'm not going to give you the whole background. I just want to give you why I wanted to go down the route that I did. At telecom, no other person really got the industry, because they were just like, oh, this is new. It's all mobile phones. And all of the employees were older. And because I was young, straight out of school, I was enthusiastic about it, obviously, because I was just like, yeah, I'll learn, right? So all of a sudden, as mobile phones came out, I championed this idea of understanding the technology, and then understanding just to educate society about this new technology. And all of a sudden I was selling like crazy. So there was no real trick to it. But what I realized in that moment, that it had nothing to do with actually trying to sell something. It was all about building relationships and connections. So as a relationship coach as well, one of the things that coexists in this exact space is that a relationship is just a connection. Nothing more, nothing less. So when you want to build sales, it's all about a connection. It's a relationship. And you probably all know that. So from the telecommunications side, I then jumped into finance. And the reason that I'm going to give you a little bit of background on this, the reason for this little shift is because I did 3.5 to 4 years work and championed each area to a management level and a certificate 3 level in every industry that I went through. So all the industries that Doug read out, I went from the bottom through the ranks to the top within that management structure, or within that hierarchical structure, within 3 to 4 years. And once I hit that top level, I could no longer go any further. I managed people for about 1 year of that. Then I started to understand leadership. So I've got 3 forms. I've got 3 exceptional programs, and that's exceptional results, exceptional leadership, and exceptional relationships. And right now I'm just on my webpage, and I'm just going to forward straight to services, because one of the things that Doug and I have put together is this idea of like, how can we educate the audience and you guys on some sales tips? So Doug, can you just give me a thumbs up if you can see that diagram? Okay, awesome. Right, so if you're in the audience right now, I just want to share with you, this is the methodology that I created a long, long time ago. But what I did was I obviously collected it over the last 3 years and actually put it into a usable and scalable diagram, which is a Venn diagram, which is they're amazing to share with you. I want you to think about, as I talk about this, obviously I can't interact with you as far as like seeing your hands go up or raising questions. But what I want you to think about is, as I walk you through this diagram, I want you to think about the questions that you would ask me. And then you can reach out to me afterwards. But what I'm going to share with you is going to be so profound that your questions will change as that goes on. So if you want exceptional results in your life, There are three fundamentals that you must master. And one of them is exceptional registration process. Now, when I talk about exceptional registration process, you might be thinking, well, what's the circle, PJ? Like, what's the rapport building way that you would tell? Think about exceptional registration process. If you think about someone in the car industry, if you think about someone in real estate industry, if you think about someone that comes to the front door of your business, they've got to come to you. Now, if you're in real estate, a lot of you would probably walk the streets. I want you to think about this for a moment. Exceptional registration process means to go and collect data first, and collect data in such a way that you're registering them if there's a possibility to do business at one stage, which puts you at the forefront of the process in general, the sales process in general. Now you're no longer waiting for them. You are registering them for possible future business. So now you're already pre-assuming, which is a presupposition in NLP language or in sales psychology, you're pre-assuming that they possibly will come and use you as a vehicle to sell. When you do that, you're putting people in a psychological place that they already feel, oh, wow, okay, so I'm not here to sell you anything, but I'm here to register with our company. When you register with us, you're going to get this, this, and this. We're going to put you at the forefront, and you're going to be a front of mind if there's a product, if there's a sale. So then what you're doing is you're not waiting for them to come to you. You're being proactive. Then you've got exceptional product knowledge. Now, we're not talking exceptional product knowledge not only about your own product. I'm also talking about exceptional product against the customer, against the competition. You must know your competition's product. One of the things that I really learned in car sales, so I mastered the car sales industry. In 2013, I was the top selling sales manager of New South Wales. Now, New South Wales will probably be, it's the third biggest state in Australia. So it probably takes over about, 12 of your states over there in America. Like Australia on a whole is probably the same size as America. So, New South Wales takes up 1/3 of that. So in 2013 for Nissan, I was the top selling sales manager in our sector. In 2015, I was the top selling sales manager in New South Wales for that sector as well. So when I started to look at exceptional product knowledge, I didn't not only just master Toyota and Nissan's product, I mastered the competition's product, so that when a customer would come to me after an exceptional registration process, so if they were to walk on the yard, or if I was to do my sales calls and I was to ring and prospect, I would talk to them about what other cars they're looking at and what comparisons are they making that I could just help them with so that they could make the best decision for their family. It had nothing to do with me. And I hope that you pick up on the language that I'm using. What other research are you doing, and what competition are you looking at and you're comparing to, and what information can I share so that you can make the best decision for your family? And I'd like to assist you with that, because if it's not my car, it doesn't matter. I just want your family to be in the best position. Why? Because I've done the product knowledge of all of these cars so that I can know that to best serve my customer. Listen to the language. That's why I call it sales psychology. So if you've got exceptional registration process, you've got exceptional product knowledge, well, then the next part you've got to do, which is mandatory, it's a necessity, it's exceptional customer experience. The person's coming to you. After you've registered them, if they come back to you, or if you go to them, they are giving you the opportunity to sell them something, not the other way around. You're there to be a service. As much as you're there to sell something, you are there to be a service to your audience. The audience, if they choose you, if they come to you, you are there to serve them. That means you just continue to make that connection. as part of the exceptional registration process and the customer experience, they go together in such a profound way that when you're asking your questions, what's the dog's name? What's your children's name? Where do you go on holidays? How often do you go? What's your favorite music? Could you imagine this at such a level so that if they were to purchase something like a motor vehicle or a home, you know what makes their house a home. You know what makes the car an amazing car trip. You can go and purchase them at the same time as part of the sales process. You could go and purchase them a CD, or you could download an MP3 and create a USB stick of the music that is their favorite music. Think about the experience that you're then passing off. Now, this can happen in any way, shape or form. It doesn't matter if you're doing groceries at Walmart. You know, we've got a Kmart. It doesn't matter if you're just going through the checkout. The person themselves creates the experience. And the person has to be, in their psyche, has to know what the benefit is. So you've got exceptional registration process, you've got exceptional product knowledge. When you've got those two, you will have growth. Now, one of the 12 major key pain points in exceptional results is growth. Because without growth, you can't grow. You're either growing or you're dying. So when you think about growth, then you're going to think about, well, if I'm in the right place as far as growth, am I going to be able to influence and impact our customers? Now, those massive companies can impact and influence their customers, but the people, the little shops, the little players in the market, they actually have to be more innovative because they don't have the funds that actually match this idea of marketing and so on. So that brings me down to a point of like, okay, then what are your staff doing? If you've got a business, if it's yourself, if you're talking about staff, then what are the strategies they're doing at a finite level on Facebook? Doug found me on Facebook. The little things, because I plaster myself all over it because I've got to be seen. It's one of the major things that I love about Grant Cardone. He's like, you want more sales? You got to be seen. Get out, get yourself out there, post more. Now, each and every business is each to their own. Now, let's talk about the major key pain point of staff retention. It costs you a lot of money. So if you're a big business, you're a small business, it costs you a lot of time and money and effort to be able to train someone up to just let them go or watch them walk out the door because you didn't look after them properly. And Simon Sinek says this the best. You manage the position, you care for the people. Hear that again. You manage the position, you care for the people, because without your people, you have nothing. But part of that, if you've got to have the right people on the right seat, on the right bus, going the right direction together. And if you don't, get rid of them. And I'm telling you that right now. One of the biggest things that I'll talk about when we go around to culture is exactly that. So if you've got growth, you're going to have staff retention's a pain point. Well, productivity is going to be a pain point because if you don't have productivity, you're nowhere, because there's a big disconnect between productivity and income producing activity. Let's use the 80-20 rule. 20% of the generated work actually makes 80% of the money that comes in the door. 20%. So where does the other, oh, it's my alarm. Where does the other, this is Doug and I's normal wake up time. So if you think about productivity and income producing activity, you got the 20% of action that actually creates the 80% of income that actually comes in the door. 20% of activity. So what's happening with the other 80%? We as business owners are tolerating it. That's what's happening. I'm going to be real with you today. 80% of the wasted time of being busy is tolerated by either yourself or the business owner. So I hope that hit you right, because this is about being open and honest about the methodology that I use to actually create exceptional results. So if you've got an exceptional registration process and you've got an exceptional customer experience, well, you're going to have sales. And one of the major key pain points of business is sales. Because if you don't have the sales, why keep the door open? So from sales, you're going to get results. And you need the results, but results don't lie. So you need data. And when you've got your data, you can make changes. If you don't have your data, you can't make changes. Think about that. You need cash flow. If cash flow was if cash flow wasn't one of the major key factors for business growth, how amazing would your business be? It'd be amazing. But guess what? The reality is you goddamn need the cash flow. You need it. It's a necessity. And we all love talking about the big word bottom line. We love talking about it, but I can guarantee you that if you go back up to growth, some of the areas that we're tolerating are going to directly affect your bottom line. So you got exceptional results. You got exceptional customer experience. You got an exceptional product knowledge of both your brand and competition. Well, then that's going to definitely impact the brand. And it's the 21st century. Brand is everything. Brand is out there. Everything needs to be congruent. If you go and have a look, and I'm just going to swing this page a little bit. You go and have a look at the Facebook page of mine. You go and have a look at LinkedIn. You go and have a look at Twitter, Instagram. That face, that lion figure, that Pjero branding, that conquer the uncomfortable is there somewhere because it's congruent. It's all about the brand. You have to look the part. It's got to be spread everywhere. It's one of the first things that I teach. Well, part of the brand is the major key pain point of culture. Is everyone living, eating, and breathing it? And as I said before, if you want the culture to grow, you got to have the right people. So then I want you to think about, well, then what's your recruiting process? I did 3 years in HR and recruiting. So I mastered recruiting, understanding what was the sales psychology behind some of their answers, listening, watching their facial expressions, could tell when they were lying in an interview. Think about that. I'm not condoning a place where you need to be perfect. What I am condoning is to use the sales psychology to work your business correctly, because 99.9% of the time, it's what you're tolerating. And what becomes acceptable becomes inevitable. Reflect on that. Reflect on yourself and what you're trying to achieve. So if you've got the brand, you're going to have the reputation. But in order to have the reputation, you've got to keep it there. So this is very much like the staff retention. What are you doing to keep it there? Because one poor comment in your reviews can ruin your reputation. We know that. It's something we've spoken about. But once again, do you tolerate it? How much do you tolerate? And then everyone knows about market share. One of the major key pain points in sales psychology is market share. Market share, you know, is a given period of time where you're divided by the sales that you've made, and it's across the whole market. It's the sales you actually make that are in one specific area over one specific time frame. So if you want more market share, what do? Well, you can even start by hiring different staff. You can start by making sure that they understand the exceptional registration process, the exceptional product knowledge, the exceptional customer experience. If you don't have the right people on the bus, get rid of them now. I'm telling you, you're going to do yourself a favor. Train the right people the right way. You find someone with the right attitude. I love talking about these 12 major key pain points around the outside. And one of the biggest things that I love teaching is change your questions now. Are they attitudes or skills that you look at right now? Some of them stand for things, but if you teach someone exceptional results, every single one of those things on that board is an attitude, and you can teach it. You can teach someone and understand staff retention. You can teach it. It is simple, but you've got to put in the time to train the staff correctly. You've got to have the adequate programs and systems in place in your business so that you can make it worthwhile, so that staff will want to stay. You've got to create this. It's all up to you. It's why I love sales psychology, because it's not just sales. It's being exceptional across all areas. So if you've got any questions, Doug and I'd love to hear them. Doug, maybe you've got some questions, but that is the ultimate methodology that I use across all the industries that I teach.
I just have to say, wow. First of all, I and probably everybody that came on here was expecting a lesson in sales, and we've got an exceptional lesson on business, not just sales. So, way to over deliver.
You're welcome. I think the biggest thing that comes down to it. I think the biggest thing that comes down to it is that is the sales process that I use. So when you think about business, yes, as a strategy, as a whole, it incorporates everything. And I think that's where it fails. I think that's where the disconnect is in big companies, because there's no co-creative space anymore. People are really out there to fight, to sell. Like even us. I would love to sell more, but realistically, it's not about that. It's actually about education. And through that education, if I make a connection with you, there'll be a sale. If there's no connection, then it's only a result of poor rapport that I've built with you. Yeah. The behavior shows the result.
It's powerful. I was going to say, if you watch this on the replay, please comment replay. And any questions you have after watching it, please post those in the comments. Pjero is a trailblazer, a member of the group, so I'm sure he will see those questions and be able to reach out to you. And if you want to reach out to Pjero, I will put out whatever link he wants in the comments as well, for you to reach out to Pjero, whether that's booking a call with him or checking out one of his resources. Anything specific?
I'm going to put that in the Facebook page.
Any specific way you want them to reach out to you, or any specific resource that you want to share?
I really enjoy my LinkedIn page. Okay. That's where you can get a lot of my business stuff. But here's another tip. As far as social media goes, I've got I'm on 7 platforms. So I try and share, the same videos across that represent the same, what I'm trying to put out, the content that I'm trying to share. So any social media platform, so Instagram, Facebook, I've got my own Facebook group, Addicted to Grow. That's about mindset. And then obviously LinkedIn, my website, it's all congruent. So it's all across the board. It's all relevant.
Nice. Stay on brand everywhere. Kind of like what you said.
Yeah.
Any questions for me, Pjero?
My biggest thing is how best can I serve the audience? So if you're sitting there right now and you're watching either the replay or you're watching this live, what other information? Because the information's here, right? And I've got my own sales psychology programs that we could do. You could do 6 weeks with me, 12 weeks, 6 months, 12 months. But that's not the main area of focus. The main areas of focus is in these groups. What information can I share? What small tips can I share that can serve the group? So if you've got the questions, reach out. But Doug, do you have anything specifically on how else I could share with the group?
I'm always open for, if you have something new that you want to come on with, we can do another training.
Cool.
I'm all about delivering value in this group. So anytime you want to come in and drop some value, please do so.
I think one of the ones that I'd like to share possibly in the future, which will help straight away, is you never really struggle with a close if you built the registration process properly. So the exceptional registration process, which actually happens at the start, you'll never have an issue with closing at the end. So maybe we could do a session just purely on closing.
Oh yeah. I think that'd be awesome. All right. Like I said, if you were live, put live below. And if you're watching this on replay, put replay. And any questions that you have for Pjero, please put those in the comments and he will reach out to you. And there will be a link to his LinkedIn and possibly some other resources in the comments as well. Thanks again, Pjero.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Now, just remember this. If this is how much energy you get out of me at 4 a.m. in the morning, it's 4:40 a.m. Could you imagine if we did a sales training live where I could bounce around on stage?
That would be awesome.
So you guys get me to America and I'll be there.
All right. We'll work on that.
Cool. Awesome. Right. Thank you very much, Doug. Thank you, audience. I hope you got something out of it.